Hong Kong is home to a culinary icon, dim sum. These bite-sized dishes are traditionally eaten with tea and at breakfast or lunch, but always with plenty of sauce. And with over 1,000 different types of dim sum, there are plenty to choose from. Dim sum is a cuisine steeped in a rich cultural tradition. But we wanted to find out how dim sum is evolving in the 21st century. So we went out into Hong Kong, the spiritual home of dim sum, to meet 4 people who have been finding unique inspirations from this culinary icon. To start our journey of exploration, we traveled to downtown Hong Kong to meet a dim sum master with a distinctive approach.
Dim sum to me is something that really represents Hong Kong. It's something I discovered in Hong Kong. I didn't know about dim sum before landing in Hong Kong.
This is Swiss chef Nicolas Elalouf. Since opening his restaurant Manmo Dim Sum in 2014, Nicolas has earned a reputation for introducing unusual ingredients into his dim sum recipes.
I want to open my own restaurant, but I didn't want to do a French restaurant or a Swiss restaurant or any kind of Western food. But I learned here that the specialty of Hong Kong was the dim sum and the dumpling. So I learned the basic of how to make the dough for the dumplings, but I don't know what we can put inside. I like European food. And then I thought, why we cannot combine both?
Nicolas' menu includes dim sum recipes such as foie gras, ratatouille, and sea bass.
My favorite probably is the truffle brie dumpling. It was the craziness of my concept, bringing cheese into dumpling and dim sum.
For the past 11 years, Nicolas has made his home in Sheung Wan, a trendy neighborhood in the heart of Hong Kong.
So this street is called Upper Lascaux and known as well as Cat Street. This is where I decided to open Manmo because I thought it's still a very a street with a lot of character and a lot of authenticity. It influenced the whole concept of the restaurant because I decided to create a very modern design restaurant in the middle of the antique street because it's keeping the traditional way of making the dumplings, but inside we did a modern twist. I like to buy products from local people in the market. To me, it's a good relationship. Sifu, Leo! Leo ma! Some of my staff, they introduced me this guy. He's bringing me all the products to my restaurant. I really like to support him and to work with him, even though he doesn't speak a word of English. My Chinese is very little. We interact like this. And we've been working together for a long time. So it's interesting as well to support the small reseller here in the market. And they know me, we have a good relationship. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Becoming a dim sum master is no easy task. It requires a delicate touch and years of practice.
When I asked my dim sum Sifu, my dim sum master, I want to learn how to make the dumpling. For 3 weeks, he asked me to make the dough by hand, no machine, because this is the tradition. My goal is to try to have a uniform cylinder. When I'm satisfied with this, it's good enough. Then I'll take it in the hand. I will try to take 10 grams. And then you need to feel it. So this one is probably 10. To me, every day is different. When you're in a good mood and you have a good feeling, then you can make very beautiful dumplings. When you know exactly how to make the dumplings, then at that time, there is no more techniques. What my dim sum Sifu told me is just with your heart. And what is funny is that dim sum means touch your heart, or little touch of heart. Dim sum is an art. You can only know if you've done a beautiful dumpling at the end.
Traditionally, there are 2 key ingredients used by chefs to make dim sum.
If you take out MSG and chicken powder and you talk to a very traditional Chinese chef, they would say that you're almost tying up both their hands.
Just a stone's throw away from Manmo Dim Sum is Larry Tang. Larry is the co-founder of a socially conscious brand, Famaland. His restaurant, Soho Fama, promotes healthy living and eating.
So back in 2011, 2012, a lot of people around me were getting sick. All of them were diagnosed with different types of cancer. I just thought I can create the most impact in creating more healthier and more sustainable food.
Part of Larry and his team's unique approach to dim sum is to use ingredients from traditional Chinese medicine.
We have this belief that food is your medicine, and also we are what we eat. So this is what we call the flu fighter soup. So it's designed by our traditional Chinese doctor. The main ingredient that helps your lungs, it's this piece of dry crocodile meat. It's also very good for your throat. And we usually pair it with like chrysanthemum flower tea. So that goes quite well with it. We're trying to go back to the original way of cooking before all the chemicals are used.
Larry works with Jackie Faulkner, a Hong Kong-based forager and permaculture farmer.
Now we're going to Chains. They're our traditional Chinese medicine clinic partners.
They're off to get some advice on what ingredients to use in their upcoming winter menu. Gigi Nian is a traditional Chinese medicine practitioner.
I choose some of the black color herbs. You see the black goji, the mulberry, black beans, and walnuts, longan. Everything here is related to winter.
In traditional Chinese medicine, the color and characteristics of ingredients correspond to the different seasons.
What's the difference between Korean ginseng and
the other ginseng?
Yeah.
Korean one, we always recommend to do it in the winter because the hot nature is stronger than the other ginsengs. So for the longan, it calms the mind.
We get our information from TCM first, and then we'll go to Jackie, and Jackie goes to the farmer. And then we'll do a few tastings and make sure everyone's happy with the flavor. What were those things that you think we can source locally?
everything?
Yeah.
Longan, goji, the walnuts, I'm not sure that's the only one.
We try to source locally when we can. If there's a local alternative, we'll choose that. There's less packaging, less plastic packaging, we'll choose that first. And so we work with nutritionists and traditional Chinese doctors. So that combines everything and form our food concept. For us, this is what we tell our team all the time. If you put food in people's mouth, you are directly impacting their health.
When people think of dim sum, they mostly think of it as something they can eat. But we wanted to find out how dim sum is inspiring people beyond the belly. So we went to find two people who've expressed their love of dim sum in their own unusual ways. The first is Louis Yan, known as the David Copperfield of Hong Kong. Today, Louis is in Yamate, an area in the south part of Kowloon.
Dim sum or tea house bring me a lot of memories with my family. When I was a child, little boy, my father always bring me to a tea house, reading newspaper, and we talk about the daily life. It's a memory to me, so I want to do some magic in a tea house.
Louis is here to pick up a few props for some dim sum magic tricks.
姐姐你好，我見到好多大大細細唔同嘅種類嘅蒸籠喎，其實通常整啲乜嘢嘅咧？即係大係咪整包啊？呢啲就係點心啊，定點樣嘅咧？
係啦，通常咧細嘅咧就係點心，大咧就係整包，或者係手包。通常我哋中國人咧嗰啲係一盤係一家人食噶嘛，所以就會用大籠腸啦。
哦，即式呢啲係點樣嘅咧？
小籠包。
我識我一個嘅。一
個小籠包係啦，呢個食材係啦，
一人一個咁樣，好精緻咁樣。
係啦，好精緻，冇錯啦。
Whilst Louis was preparing some magic tricks, we decided to head across town to visit an artist with a unique take on dim sum. Xavier Tang is a founder of Bee Candle, an internationally renowned collective of candle artisans and designers.
Bee Candle started as a small candle workshop. What's unique about Bee Candle is that we produce and create everything in Hong Kong. It has a very local touch.
Xavier is based in Sai Kung, a small town on the northeastern edge of Hong Kong.
Sai Kung is a place where I grew up and I live and I love. I love the communities, I love the way people live here, the lifestyle.
You can see this is my workshop and my shop's there.
It's half-minute walking distance. And this is my uncle's shop. And my auntie is still here. My shop. Wax is like water. It can be everything. You melt it, you mold it into different things. You can see the colors changing. It's getting translucent. Candle is something that you can see the outcome in a few minutes. It's pretty much like making food. This one time while I was eating, I saw how the chef prepared the cheng fan and realized that the technique and the material is quite similar to what I do with wax. I just clicked in my mind that I can use wax to replicate everything. Every color, every texture, every techniques that they used to make the dim sum. We set more and then we squeeze them into shape. I think I can make dim sum.
Xavier and his team have recreated 6 types of iconic dim sum.
So this is how we prepare the meat for the hagao, the shrimp dumpling. So this kind of dim sum, you can see the details. Every piece is different, so I want to let people see and feel the craft behind. But the dim sum candles are more physical memories for the experience of Hong Kong. The wax is kind of similar to food. You light it, it's like you consume the food. You can choose to put it there or you light it and make it disappear, and there's a memory.
Many of the techniques that Xavier uses are similar to those of a real-life dim sum chef.
We really went into the kitchen of the dim sum place to see and asked the seafood how to wrap each dim sum. And I showed him my piece of hagao and he said, no, it's not like this. It's not hard, but you need a lot of practice to make it right. Each time we make the same dim sum, the outcome is different. That's what I like about it, because the chef is different, the dim sum will be different. I think there are no limits of like how to work on the wax. You can play whatever you want to play with. A lot of my works I try to explore about the identities and culture of Hong Kong. And now, since I moved back to work here in Sai Kung, I'm more interested even in the Sai Kung itself.
Back in central Hong Kong, we met up with Louis at the iconic Look You Tea House.
When I travel around the world in the different countries, when I asked my audience, okay, what is your favorite fruit from Hong Kong? 90% they will say, okay, dim sum, char siu bao, xiao mai, something like this. So I think dim sum represents Hong Kong, is connected. That's why I'm always using dim sum for my magic.
With the 87-year-old Look You Tea House as a backdrop, Louis is about to perform some of his famous dim sum magic.
呢度有包茶葉，頭先倒少出嚟啊！呢個係鐵觀音嘅茶葉嚟嘅，我只要將鐵觀音嘅茶葉放喺茶壺嘅側邊，我哋一齊專心望住呢一度，好，大概等半個小時。講笑，望住，你見到我數1、2、3之後，你發覺手上面嘅茶葉咧會冇咗，咁個茶葉成分就會走咗過去。係啦，小朋友講得啱，佢變咗色喎。但係我哋呢個魔術最緊要咧，唔係將佢變色，係真係將呢啲水變做真正嘅茶。小朋友試一試。真係茶嚟㗎係嘛 ？OK， 請茶啦 ，thank you。A dim sum is not only a meal, it's a connection, relationship, and communication between us.
I love char siu bao.
When I travel around to perform, I think I have my own responsibility to bring the culture of Hong Kong to share to the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I love char siu bao.
Dim sum is more than just a food.
If we can reinvent it and make it into something healthier, then that's actually quite satisfying for us.
It's something that represents Hong Kong and captures the city's spirit of imagination and innovation.
There's a lot of tradition that's happening around, but maybe our pace of lifestyle is too intense, too quick. People never stop and slow down to notice what's behind the things around them.
If you want to make something new and innovating, you need always to start by the tradition and the knowledge.